Morning. Good morning, Dawson Rinpoche.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. Uh, Dharma brothers and sisters, we are close to the arrival of Garchen Rinpoche. Just now, I've already announced, but for the people, for our brothers and sisters who just arrived, please do note that we have this virtual Zoom background, and we encourage everyone to do so, just like Dawson Rinpoche has also done so. At the end of the session, we'll be having a group photo. We need you to put on your very best smiles, and also to have this background, we can have a very nice souvenir for Gachi Rinpoche with everyone in it. Our admin has copied the file on the chat room. Please, everyone do download and use it. Also, at the end of the sessions, we will be promoting attendees to our panelists towards the end of the sessions. For the current panelists, you may now switch on your video, but please do try to minimize all your movements. And for the rest, you will be promoted to the panelists towards the end of the session, where you can on your video and say goodbye to Rinpoche. End of the session, not only will we be having the group photos, we will also be offering kata to Gachi Rinpoche. So everyone, please do prepare a kata if you have one. Yeah. Okay. And just now we talk about the panelist where you can switch on the videos. For the at the end of the sessions when we promote you to be a panelist, you will see a window prompt on the screen. So please press the blue button that says join as panelist. And then with that, you will be able to turn on your screen. Okay. And then Rinpoche can see every one of us. All right. So thank you and rejoice everyone for coming here on the last day of the retreat. Thank you.
We'll begin with the opening prayers in the Yellow Prayer Book on page 1, once in Tibetan and twice in English.
Vamos a empezar con el libro amarillo de plegarias, página 1.
All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Now go to page 7 for the Mandala offering.
Ahora página 7 para la ofrenda de Mandala.
infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms, if I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Page 10 for requesting teachings.
Página 10 para solicitar las enseñanzas.
Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
ngô chụp bà đi cho nên biết bị hạ qua là cái là tôi nghĩ là sản năng xếp bà là sản năng giờ mà giờ là ăn số bà là biết xếp được sao rồi chip thì cái là ta xem cái nero cái là thì ta sao cho chim bò xong sao cho chim bò thì làm sao mình hiện tại thì rồi 네 라릭 동당 잡에 사송 라릭 동당 되게 다 랑게를 봤는데 대선 사지 참지 뭐 동담배 내봐 사지는 다 뭐지 받쳐야 되잖아 라릭 동당 잡에 사들 랑게 쓰는 랑게 대받게 섞고 요래 이 따위에 다 죽노 당내랑 시상지 매해서 과사한 거잖아 라릭 동당 잡에 사송 그리 제가 야는 데리 마다서 손데 그리 다 갔던지 또 마사지 고마서 사파다 샤와서 그리 갔다 그것도 제가 저걸랑 사파다 샤와서 사파는 혼자 취탐지 디서로 가면서 봐 나팔로 그래서 늘 취탐지 담아서 봐 되나지 그리 제 타수 가와를 때 똑똑하는 내가 똑똑 마땅한 처럼 세고 내려올 때는 그 사자 좀 다 세대 추가 자와가지고 세대 자와 조성 그리는 것은 통치 시바도 저 자들이 통치 시바도 다 살라 도움이 당셔당만자서 상통들 사대치 봉고 다때 똑같이 땅들이 상통들랑들이 유리 나라는 것은 내lok차들 내lok내지 저희는 저통못상만라고 차들 다 이런 것들이 그냥 통해서 공통들을 하는 다 주게 요래 도망들랑 다 죽은 걸 대차는데 다 줄때 다왜 다 줘봐서 일단 다 찾아주면도 내lok들은 받고 그래야지.
So yesterday we spoke about Vipassana, special insight, and although I don't know how to explain that well, I really did my best to explain that to you, and I apologize if there were any mistakes. But so we give it different names, this view of Vipassana. For example, we call it Mahamudra and Dzogchen, the ultimate truth. But all of these terms, all of these words have one single meaning. They come back to one and the same sort of thing, and that is the nature of the mind. They all are a word for the nature of the mind. They express the nature of mind. Jetsun Miller Repa had said, when you realize that mind is inseparable from space, you have realized the Dharmakaya. So the outer space and the inner mind are exactly the same. That is when you really truly see the essence, the nature of Vipassana, of special insight. And so when the mind is free of all thoughts, the mind is experienced as a vast emptiness. And there is a clear knowing awareness that knows is aware of this vast emptiness, vast like the sky. And if it's difficult to comprehend the vastness of space, yesterday we also mentioned other examples. For example, it is like a mirror or like a crystal ball. We have mentioned yesterday, it is said that the mind is like an ocean, like a crystal, and like a flower. So no matter what thoughts arise within the mind, positive or negative thoughts, they all are like temporary ice blocks that are reflected within the mind, which is like a mirror. And that is what we call the mirror-like wisdom. The awareness of this is the mirror-like wisdom. So when you look at this example of a mirror, the mind is like a mirror. Actually, it's exactly the same as space. Maybe it seems to be different when it comes to its size, it's smaller, but it represents the same as space. And so in the Kagyu tradition, we refer to this nature as Mahamudra. And then the name Mahamudra itself is also related to the meaning that it represents. So Mahamudra, or Chagya Chenpo in Tibetan, So the chak part, which is the mudra, but only half of the mudra actually. So the chakya will be the mudra, and the chak of the chakya refers to the empty nature of the mind, the vast emptiness. And that is what we have not recognized. We don't recognize our empty space-like nature. And temporarily, our perception is a perception of an I. There is this me. So now there's just this me. And we perceive self and other and many sentient beings. And they all perceive me. And due to that, they perceive the various appearances of the 6 realms of samsara. Everyone grasping at an I, a me. Even a small little insect, like an ant, has this kind of self-perception, perception of a me. And the mind is actually one and the same. Our mind is the same, but we don't recognize that. So temporarily, the mind has become like an ice block. Or you can imagine it's like one large iceberg, and when that is crushed, then it splinters into many small pieces. So there's many small pieces of ice, all the sentient beings. And until the ice has melted, sentient beings will perceive a dualistic existence. And when the ice melts, the ice is recognized as water. It merges to be one with the ocean. And that state is the state of Mahamudra. In the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says, for a beginning practitioner, a beginning meditator, the mind is like a waterfall fiercely gushing down a mountain. And then in the middle, the mind it flows gently like the river Ganges. So that is what we observe when we look at the state of our mind as we progress in meditation. And so then when you look at the mind is really seen just like water, like a river or like the Ganges River and so on. Because when you know the nature of the mind, you see that everyone has that same mind. It's just like there's different kinds of water in the world. But all the water in the world and the ocean water have one single essence. And slowly, gradually, you realize that as you practice. We mentioned yesterday, Milarepa had said that the realization of emptiness is a gradual and increasing awareness or recognition of clarity increasing in the mind, or the bhumis and the paths are an increasing clarity of one's realization of emptiness. So it becomes increasingly clear as you engage in practice in a gradual way. And so the mind then is referred to as the self-knowing awareness that is naturally luminous, or it illuminates itself. That will become the experience of the natural state of the mind that is referred to as Mahamudra. And it has many other different names too. So it is said in terms of the etymological meaning of the term Mahamudra that so the chak also can mean prostration or bowing down. And in that case, so first it was emptiness, and it can also mean prostration. And in that case, there is a verse that says, I prostrate to the my ultimate self-knowing awareness. So your own self-knowing awareness, your own awareness has the essence of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. To recognize that is the ultimate truth, that your mind is indivisible from the Buddha's mind. And when you recognize that, therefore, you are able to develop devotion even to your own mind. So therefore, you prostrate to your own self-knowing awareness. That happens when you have gained complete certainty in the view or the natural state. When you are completely certain, my mind is really the Buddha. So I prostrate to the self-knowing awareness, my own self-knowing awareness. And that is the chak and the gya from chakya, which is mudra together. The gya also means like a kind of a boundary or a seal, and meaning that there is nothing that goes beyond it, nothing that transcends it. Also, the other day I mentioned that the Buddha described the nature of the mind as being profound and peaceful. Also, Khenpo Tenzin clarified the meaning on that. in terms of profound, it means that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are encompassed by it, so they cannot go beyond it or transcend it. All the entire universe and all beings do never transcend the vast expanse of space. And when you see it, it is free from all extremes. When you look at the natural state of the mind without thinking, you see the natural state. It is also said to know all phenomena, the nature of everything. Do not inquire into the nature of phenomena, but inquire into the nature of the mind, or the root of the mind. So what you need to find is the true nature of your own awareness. That is clear and empty, the clear and empty nature of the mind. And that nature is referred to as Mahamudra, which has the same essence as Vipassana, the natural state of the mind. So the nature of the mind itself is Vipassana, or the special insight. It is the completely pure state of the mind, the natural state of the mind. And once you have seen it, you habituate to it. And through habituating to it, you will gain certainty in your own experience. And that certainty is what we call that you have certainty in the view, or the natural state. And so this is how we recognize or come to an understanding of the true nature of Mahamudra.
Bueno, ayer hablamos del Vipassana. Rinpoche pide disculpas si tuvo algún error. Dice que lo llevamos al mismo estado, lo llamamos de diferentes formas. Lo llamamos Mahamudra, Sochen, Vipassana, naturaleza de la mente. Pero todas son palabras que expresan al final lo mismo, la naturaleza de la mente. Ahora dice que Milarepa habló y dijo, si realizas que la mente no es diferente al espacio, esto es el Dharmakaya. Entonces la mente se experimenta como una vasta vacuidad y hay una conciencia clara de esto. Ayer dimos otros ejemplos como la mente como un espejo o la mente como una bola de cristal, la mente como un océano o también una flor. Sin importar qué pensamientos surgen, todos estos pensamientos son como bloques de hielo. Cuando ves el ejemplo del espejo, es lo mismo que el ejemplo del espacio, representa lo mismo. En el linaje Kagyu, normalmente esto se representa como el Mahamudra. La parte de mudra de la palabra Mahamudra quiere decir la naturaleza vacua de la mente, que es lo que todavía no hemos reconocido. Por eso existe la percepción del yo y de los otros. Y por eso las diferentes apariencias de los 6 reinos de los samsara surgen. Hasta una hormiga tiene esta percepción de un yo y de los 6 reinos del samsara. Temporalmente la mente es como un iceberg, que cuando se quiebra hay muchas pequeñas partes de hielo. Y estos vendrían a ser los seres sintientes. Cuando este hielo se derrite, es un solo océano. La mente es como una cascada al principio y al final acaba siendo como un lago tranquilo. Si ves la mente, al final es como un río de agua. Si conoces la naturaleza de la mente, todas las mentes son idénticas. Entonces, Milarepa dice, la realización de la vacuidad es un reconocimiento incremental de la claridad de la vacuidad.
There's nothing that is vaster than the sky, than space. There is nothing in samsara and nirvana that transcends the vast expanse of space. So its depth is extremely vast. It is profound in terms of being deep and vast. No one can really fathom the depths of space, the breadth of space. No one can really understand it. Actually, once a disciple asked me very directly and that was in the context of me saying that space is without center and boundary. And so then another disciple asked me, but then where is the center of space? And I said, generally space has no center, but if you're looking for a center, if you want to have a center, then it's right above your head. Wherever your head is, that's where is the center of space. And so what does it mean that the center of space is right above your head? It is that when you realize the nature of the mind, you realize that mind being like space has no center and no boundary. And whoever realizes that, to them, that realization becomes the center of space, so to speak. Center as in the middle, and middle as in the middle way, like the view of the Madhyamaka. The middle way view describes the ultimate nature, the natural state of the mind, by means of words, so through verbal expressions. And that is called the view of the Madhyamaka. And so actually it transcends all words, but this is how it is described. So in the middle way school. So the center of space refers to one's realization of the space-like nature of the mind, and then one has found like the center, or the middle of space. And then one realizes that mind is vast and deep, just like space. So what I'm trying to say with that is that in the beginning it is necessary that we think about it, that we really analyze the nature of space.
Bueno, continúo lo de el bloque anterior. Estaba diciendo Rinpoche que todos los fenómenos del samsara y nirvana están comprendidos en el espacio. Cuando se ve, cuando se realiza esto, entonces se da uno cuenta que el espacio está libre de los extremos. Lo que tenemos que encontrar es la verdadera naturaleza de nuestra mente. El Mahamudra es la misma esencia que el Vipassana. Es la etapa natural de la mente y por medio de habituarnos a ella, ganaremos certeza en la visión o el estado natural de la mente. Así entendemos la naturaleza verdadera del Mahamudra. Ahora dice que no hay nada en samsara y nirvana que trascienda lo vasto y profundo del espacio. Entonces esta visión es profunda y vasta. Nadie entiende la profundidad del espacio. Rinpoche cuenta una historia de un discípulo que alguna vez le preguntó muy seriamente, cuando él estaba hablando sobre lo vasto del espacio, un discípulo le preguntó que en dónde se encontraba el centro del espacio. Entonces, bueno, Rinpoche le preguntó que como no tenía límites, no tenía un centro, pero que si él quería pensar en un centro, que el centro estaba arriba de la cabeza, de su cabeza del discípulo. Esto significa que si realizas la naturaleza de la mente, esa realización de la naturaleza de la mente es el centro del espacio. Centro como en el medio y medio como la visión media del Madhyamaka. La visión del Madhyamaka trasciende a todas las palabras. El centro del espacio se refiere a la realización de la naturaleza de la mente. Una realiza que la mente es vasta y profunda como el espacio. Ahora, entonces, por eso es necesario analizar el espacio.
Teri chege pe kange de ten thong so teri ka pa tong de sa bo ma ba ya ro me che ma ba sang se song sa che bo lo o tang so sen ti ko ba thoma me ba ta ba dong ko wa cham na yang dong da de 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 to ba ni so 얘를 같이 갖고 잡고 다 sem 터정제가 강배 그것도 좀 제로함이 봤을 때 동당 또 번지지 다 타박에 기다린다고 그래야 되죠 상구요를 막 또고 또 정말 막또 나니 니지지 요 참이 저도 내 차지 차와 요리 때려지는 동화를 두가 포대니 차요래지 또 정말 또그 시박 하는 게 저거리 시박 하는 마도박은 코가 차도 요리 처럼도 또 나라를 이시도 답고 싶나 그다 이제 사지 죽어서 로고 차도 요래 그리 마다바도 쪼거들 다 마다니는 냠대요 봐도 쪼거들 그 탐지 것을 그런지 이제 공서 마디 말해 돼. 그 것을 동데 또는 어떻게 가라면 난 가면 서로 또는 따뜻한 동반이 내 말에 동남도 동반 내 말에 마도 어떻게 다듯하지 간접 비서함이 말해지 이 가미들이 하고 그래
You understand that space is space. But then when we say that all the universe and all the beings are like that, then again, these thoughts of perceiving everything in this concrete way and having your concepts about how things are, again, these habitual imprints arise within the mind, and then you cannot really see things like space. So as an antidote to this kind of perception, the Buddha first said, all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So compounded phenomena is what makes up all the things in the world, this entire world. This entire world is impermanent. And and all the inner sentient beings are just like that. And so when you, for example, take this planet Earth, this world, it is just like a little heap of earth that you have in your hand. You have a heap of earth in your hand, and when you blow on it, then it just disperses into space and it's gone. And that's the nature of our planet Earth. And that's the nature of all the 5 elements. That's the empty nature of all the 5 elements. So you will not find anything that you can really grasp at, anything of any substance whatsoever. Also, if you do not grasp at things as real, then also naturally the various thoughts and the afflictive emotions in relation to appearances will actually collapse. And that is because you cannot find anything substantial to cling to. Then also in the Ganges Mahamudra next it says, likewise, when mind looks into mind, thoughts cease and you see the nature of mind. So when you look at your own mind, it becomes completely empty. And so people might think that there's nothing there, I don't see anything. So even though it is empty, there is also a clear knowing awareness. And this is what we call the unity of clarity and emptiness. And if this unity of clarity and emptiness takes on shape, then it is expressed in the form of, for example, Samantabhadra, Yab and Yum, or Vajradhara, Yab and Yum. They appear naturally as an expression of clarity and emptiness, or appearance and emptiness. The appearance aspect is the Yab, the male, and the emptiness aspect is the Yum, or the female. Or clarity is the male and emptiness is the female, or bliss is the male and emptiness is the female. So the female, the Yum, represents the aspect of emptiness. And that the empty nature of all appearances, although things clearly appear, they lack inherent existence, which is their empty nature. And so for this reason, appearance and emptiness are a unity, meaning that appearances are empty of self-nature. And this is how you should understand the nature of all compounded phenomena. And when you really understand that nature clearly, and you see another person, for example, there will be no thought in your mind thinking this is a real person, because you have understood that all compounded phenomena are impermanent. And instantly you will see this person as an illusory appearance. And therefore, no attachment to that person will arise, because you have realized that there is no object of attachment. There is no one to grasp at, nothing to grasp at. All lacks inherent existence, because all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So this clear knowing awareness is what you need to recognize. Do not project outward trying to understand all the outer phenomena in the world. But as we said, you should inquire into the root of the mind rather than the root of all phenomena. So you look at the nature of your mind. Mind looks at mind. You look at your own clear awareness. So you analyze your clear awareness until you realize it. And when you realize it, you realize that nothing whatsoever possesses any true existence. And the mind possesses no inherent existence. It is vast like space. So then you realize this unity of appearance and emptiness. So the realization is one where you cannot find anything that really exists that you can hold on to. That's the realization of clarity and emptiness, or appearance and emptiness. So clarity and emptiness is, the appearance and emptiness is the lack of finding anything real to hold on to. And then when you realize clarity and emptiness, which is the same realization, but it's called clarity and emptiness, when you realize that mind is like space. It pervades everything. There is no solid entity or thing that exists that you can hold on to. So that's clarity and emptiness, the unity of clarity and emptiness. And this clarity is the clear, awake mind that is called the luminous nature of the mind, or it's called clear light. That's the nature of the mind. And that is what is to be habituated. And so when you habituate, habituation or meditation means that you remain inseparable from this state of clarity, of luminosity, of clear awareness. And when the mind is clear, then ordinary imprints or habitual tendencies of grasping at things to be real and concrete will not arise within the mind. So when you see the nature of the mind, it is said, it is just like when a lamp flame shining or being lit in darkness that has lasted for 1,000 aeons. It will illuminate the darkness of 1,000 aeons. So right now, sentient beings in samsara wander in samsara. Since beginningless time until now, they have wandered in samsara. However, ultimately, everything is empty. So sometimes there seems to be a contradiction between the relative and the ultimate truth. Some people think that on the one hand, you say that on the relative level, karma is unfailing, and on the ultimate level, everything is empty. Karma is empty. So it really sounds like kind of an imposter talk. But they think that way because they haven't really understood the nature of the two truths. When one realizes the nature of the two truths, that is when you realize that self and other do not exist, then what you see is that those who have not realized that, for them there is karma. And karma ripens in the 6 realms of samsara. And to them there is a duality there exists a duality between samsara and nirvana. But the moment they realize how things really are, they realize that everything is empty of self-nature. It is just from the side of not realizing that they experience the ripening of cause and effect. So actually what you realize is that there is actually no contradiction. When you realize the nature of the mind, then all the various appearances seen through the lens of clear primordial awareness become the Dharmakaya, become the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. And so the Nirmanakaya appears in a pure and impure way in our world. But it is said that all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas. So when one realizes the nature of the mind, one realizes the union of the two truths in this way. And one realizes emptiness, the ultimate truth. And for as long as one hasn't realized it, one follows the law of karma. But it's important to understand that there is really no contradiction between the two truths.
Bueno, dice Rinpoche que todo el universo y los seres son así, son carentes de una verdad y de una existencia inherente. Todos los seres tenemos pensamientos y percibimos y tenemos conceptos de cómo son las cosas, cómo surgen patrones mentales. Todos estos fenómenos son compuestos y son impermanentes. Todo el mundo es impermanente y los seres también. Este planeta, este mundo, es como un puño de tierra, un puñado de tierra, que si le soplas, vuela por todo el espacio. Así es la naturaleza de los 5 elementos. No encontrarás nada a qué aferrarte. Si te das cuenta de esto, todos los pensamientos y conceptos se colapsan. Ahora, en el Mahamudra del Ganges, se dice que si la mente ve a la mente, los pensamientos cesan. Y entonces reconoces la naturaleza de la mente. Hay una conciencia clara. Esta unidad de claridad y vacuidad es como Samantabhadra, Yap Yum, o la apariencia, que sería la parte Yap, la parte masculina, y la vacuidad, que sería el Yum, el femenino. Aunque todo aparece, no tiene una naturaleza propia inherente. Así debemos de entender la naturaleza de todos los fenómenos compuestos. Así si vemos a alguien, no lo verás como una persona, sino como una apariencia ilusoria y temporal. Y realizarás que no hay nada a que aferrarse, que todo es falta de una existencia inherente. Debes de investigar la naturaleza de la mente, no investigar la naturaleza de los fenómenos. Analiza tu conciencia, la conciencia pura. La mente no posee una existencia inherente. Uno no puede encontrar algo a que aferrarse. La apariencia y la vacuidad es esta falta de encontrar algo a que aferrarse. La mente es como el espacio que lo permea todo. Esta claridad es la mente clara, despierta o luz clara. Y esto es lo que hay que habituar o es en lo que hay que meditar. No te separes de esta conciencia clara. Los hábitos de aferrarse no surgen en la mente en este estado. Es como una lámpara que ilumina la oscuridad que existió durante miles de eones. Desde el tiempo sin principio, los seres sintientes han vagado por todo el samsara. Algunos creen que hay una contradicción entre el estado relativo en el que el karma sí aplica y luego un estado absoluto en el que no aplica el karma. Pero si uno llega a realizar la verdadera naturaleza, es como si todas las cosas libres de naturaleza propia se liberan de la causa y el efecto. Si realizas la naturaleza en la mente, todas las apariencias se convierten en Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya y Dharmakaya. Todo fenómeno tiene la naturaleza de los 3 kayas. Si uno realiza la vacuidad última, llega a la verdad última. No hay nada en el samsara y nirvana que trascienda lo vasto del espacio. La mente es profunda y vasta. Nadie entiende la profundidad del espacio. La visión del Madhyamaka trasciende a todas las palabras. El centro del espacio se refiere a la realización de la naturaleza de la mente.
Numo Shava Kami, Captain 7 day loader, or Numo Yakori Masan, Doctor Masan, Kano Masan, Zami, Nato Karena, Nato Shamata, Tima Ya, the Leta Bobo de Basota, Hongo, Hong, or Nato Karesa, Hongo, Hongram, Jitoni Kadi, take it up to Toa, Meva Charlo, Nato Toa, Meva Sabatita Baksha, Toa Tea Bakshare. 박차 뒤 망고 쌀을 드리고 못 차한 거래 별로. 들이 세부 박차 드린 로아로 잡은 거는 뭔가 소실하면서 대 잡은 거래. 박차 충충간이 소화 충충 뛰어가니 들이 홍대 도서는 되지. 나도때 도서들에 담보 bak가는 문의질이라는 남자 이 시기 있어 마타들이 이 시기 메시인 따로 있어. 메시다고 있어. 근데 또 생각이 있어. 들이다다디 적진게 속나 매칭 칼 담보 차바거든. 이 실학사고 bak가는 너도랑 이게 파착 돌돌해. 딜라 차라로지. 돌들이 소화 가능해 봐. 소화 차한테 다 돌해. 처음에 들이지 매우 약시바게 되게 요래. 얘네들이 다다다 네 독체롱도 저 바위에서 녀몽이 시체면 독체롱도 저 바위에서 또 붙여지는 뭐가 폐 되게 정보를 말할 비해서 말해.
And it also, in the Ganges Mahamudra, it is said, that which transcends the intellect cannot be understood by means of the intellect. And that's really the nature of Mahamudra. So, for example, when you receive the instructions, the teachings on Mahamudra, there is the Lama who teaches Mahamudra, and then the disciple who listens to the teachings. And so, actually, from the side of Mahamudra, from the perspective of Mahamudra, there is no distinction between them. There's no distinction between me and you, who is explaining or listening to the teachings. So we haven't realized that. To us, there is this perception of there is me and then there is the guru, or there is me who realizes something, me, I'm the realizer, and that which is to be realized is Mahamudra. But actually, they are non-dual. The one who realizes it and what is to be realized are actually one. And so what is a skillful means to realize that? To really come to a decisive understanding of Mahamudra. Again, in the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says, without a single thought, decisively look at your ultimate nature. And it begins with, it begins with first cultivating a sense of renunciation to samsara. You see all the suffering of samsara, and you become, you grow tired or exhausted of suffering in this ocean of samsara. So first there is renunciation, and then you develop faith and devotion in the three jewels, based on your understanding of the three jewels' qualities. And so once renunciation and devotion have arisen, then you look at your mind. And naturally, through the power of devotion, actually, all the coarse conceptual constructs in the mind will naturally calm down. It is said that this happens when an intense feeling of devotion for the Guru arises, and also when compassion arises for sentient beings. This is also called the mind that is empty and compassionate, or the union of emptiness and compassion. So Mahamudra is realized by not having a single thought and decisively looking at your true nature, the ultimate nature, the nature of your mind, the true natural state of the mind. And so here at this stage of looking at your mind, there is not a single thought. So here you don't analyze anything. You just directly look at your mind. That is called the view of Vipassana, or special insight. And then once you see the mind, then all you do is just stay in there. You continue on within that state, and that is it, without developing any thought or any fixation in the mind. So when you look at your mind, do not have a single thought. When you do not have a single thought by looking at your mind, how is that mind? The mind is in a very restful or relaxed state, and naturally it becomes just like space. So in the beginning you gain an understanding of that, and then you have to experience this understanding over and over again until you gain stability. And then you gain complete certainty in what you have experienced. And once you have gained complete certainty, you will have no more question to anyone. You know it yourself. You have decided upon it. So therefore, in the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says that which transcends the intellect cannot be seen by means of the intellect. No matter how vastly we might elaborate and how much we may be able to list, there is no end to it. We can never resolve it that way, by projecting outward. Like we said, do not inquire into the root of phenomena, but inquire into the root of your mind. These words are really very important. And also, we have mentioned before different examples, like the sun or the tree. Like yesterday we mentioned the big tree, so we won't mention it again. So it is just like that. No matter how vast the phenomena of samsara and nirvana may be, there is just this one awareness, a clear awareness that from which it all arises. These concepts of these perceptions of there being a self and other is something that we have fabricated with our mind. Actually, it doesn't exist. So don't think about anything at all. Don't think that there is a me, there is an I. Don't think about others. You just directly look at your mind. You face inward and you trust in what you experience yourself, your true natural state. It can be experienced. And when you experience it, the experience is just like space, a space-like experience. That is the experience to be gained. And so that is then the experience of where you naturally merge your inner mind with the outer space. Or in Dzogchen, it is referred to as merging expanse and intrinsic awareness, or expanse and Rigpa. So when now when you meditate on a mind, so in a Dzogchen, when you merge mind with space, the meditation is one where you send out the mind deliberately into space, and then through sending it out, you merge, which is also a beneficial practice. But in any case, first you need to understand. You need to clearly gain a clear understanding, and then you have to really experience that understanding. And you experience it especially at times when thoughts and afflictive emotions arise within the mind. For example, anger or any other afflictive emotion. That is when you must sustain awareness. You must seize the emotion with awareness. And then just naturally, it will dissipate like a wave on water. And in the beginning, you will only gain a very short experience of the natural state of the mind, of Rigpa. But you have gained an experience, and that is extended through practicing it again and again. And finally, it will become stable and always last. And right now, we have not habituated to that, but once you have habituated to it, and you always stay within that state, you will always be in the state day and night uninterruptedly. And so then Milarepa also had said, when there is no more difference between the daytime perceptions and the dream perceptions, you have actualized, you've mastered meditation. So day and night you will have an ongoing experience of the natural state. So even during the daytime in your daily life, you still interact with people, you talk to people, you do things, and things appear, but you have no thought about them. You don't think of them as being real, really existing things, and you also don't see them as being unreal, as not existing at all. You just simply don't think about them at all. And then everything becomes equal, whether the experience is very blissful or it is a painful experience, it all becomes the same. Whatever it is, nothing will really affect you much. Nothing will really generate a really intense feeling. Everything becomes the same. And that is what we call the peaceful state of the mind. So then, as Milarepa had said, you have realized that daytime, the waking state experience and the dream experience become the same, as in they all are illusory. So, for example, I myself also experience much physical pain, and nowadays there is a lot of suffering. But if I just stay within the natural state, at all times, nothing at all affects one. There is no difference between whatever arises. It's all illusory by nature. And so in this way, you gain the qualities of the realization of emptiness as you progress along the bhumis and the paths. So anyways, this is a point that one can talk about all day long. So what we finally realize is that there is no difference between the afflictive emotions and primordial wisdom. Also here, Milarepa had said, when you realize there is no difference between afflictions and wisdom, you have perfected, you have mastered realization. So for a beginning practitioner, how we practice with the afflictive emotions in this. So when an afflictive emotion arises, don't think about it in terms of this is good or this is bad. Think nothing at all. Whether it is a positive or a negative thought that arises, instantly rest within that thought, within its essence. And in the beginning practitioners will find it difficult to just stay within that state. And therefore, for them, it is helpful to meditate on the Hung syllable. The Hung syllable has the power to shatter all thoughts and afflictions. Hung has the nature of emptiness, and it renders all thoughts and all feelings into nothingness. So the feeling that arises, so we have a thought and then a feeling comes from that. That feeling is the habitual imprint, the habitual tendency or the karmic imprint. And then if we accumulate many of these karmic imprints, it is because we have accumulated many of these karmic imprints that things appear as real. So that is why the more of these imprints we accumulate, the more solid and dense and real things begin to appear. And so that is why the various appearances of the 6 realms of samsara manifest to the sentient beings. They are all a natural manifestation of the 6 afflictive emotions. So when this imprint arises, meaning when a very subtle feeling begins to arise, immediately shatter it with the Hung. And then finally experience that the one who shatters and that which is shattered are actually indivisible. And then you rest within an even state, an even meditative state of non-duality. It is also said that this awareness that shatters these thoughts is like fire, and the thoughts are like wood. Also, now this is how it is explained in the Dzogchen teachings, that thoughts arise naturally, and they are liberated upon arising, so they are self-liberated or naturally liberated. So when wisdom or clear awareness seizes the thoughts arising in the mind, the thoughts will naturally collapse into themselves. So that's called the natural arising and natural liberation of thoughts. And liberation means that there is no feeling at all left behind, not even a subtle feeling. And it is just like the mind is like a mirror that has completely been cleansed, or kind of has all the fog wiped off it. It is completely crystal clear. There's not even the subtle slightest of feelings left behind. So, as Milarepa had said, when you realize that there is no difference between the afflictions and primordial wisdom, you have actualized realization, the actual realization.
Entonces, en el Mahamudra del Ganges se dice, sin un solo pensamiento, observa la naturaleza de tu mente. Puedes ver el sufrimiento del samsara y entonces te cansas de sufrir en este océano del samsara. Entonces después surge la renunciación. Después de esto, desarrollas la fe y la devoción en la triple joya. Al conocer y al analizar las características de la triple joya. Después, por la devoción, los constructos conceptuales en la mente se desvanecen. La mente, entonces, es vacua y compasiva. El Mahamudra se realiza por no tener un solo pensamiento y morar en el estado natural de la mente. No se analiza nada más, se ve solamente la mente. Después, permaneces en ese estado, sin desarrollar pensamientos o fijaciones en la mente. Como es la mente así, es como el espacio. Experimentas esto vez tras vez hasta que desarrollas estabilidad y certidumbre de que lo que experimentas y no tendrás ya ninguna duda. En el Ganges, en el Mahamudra del Ganges, se dice, lo que trasciende el intelecto no puede ser visto o analizado por medios del intelecto. Entonces, volvemos otra vez a la cita de Milarepa, que dice, no preguntes por la raíz de los fenómenos, sino busca la raíz de tu mente. Entonces, mencionamos ayer el ejemplo del gran árbol, por eso no lo voy a repetir hoy. Pero no importa qué tan vasto sea el samsara y nirvana, nada más existe una conciencia pura. Entonces, no pienses que hay un yo y hay otros. Constantemente ve hacia adentro, no hacia afuera. Experimenta tu estado natural y esta experiencia es como el espacio. Esto es lo que hay que realizar. En el Dzogchen se habla de esta experiencia como fundir Rigpa con el espacio. Cuando fundes la mente con el espacio, mandas la mente al espacio, lo cual es una práctica benéfica. Pero tienes que tener un entendimiento claro. Lo que entiendes cuando surge cualquier emoción aflictiva es cuando debes de tener esta atención clara. Al principio será una pequeña experiencia, pero esta se extiende por practicarla una vez y otra vez, hasta que te habitúas a esto. Cuando permaneces en este estado día y noche, ininterrumpidamente, entonces es cuando ya no hay diferencia entre las percepciones del día y de la noche. Tendrás una experiencia del estado natural. Entonces, no piensas en las demás personas como seres reales o no reales. No piensas en ellos. Este es el estado pacífico de la mente. Por ejemplo, dice Rinpoche, yo tengo mucho dolor físico, pero si te mantienes en el estado natural, nada te afecta. Todo es, por naturaleza, ilusorio. Uno desarrolla estas cualidades conforme avanza en las etapas siguientes. No hay diferencia entre las emociones aflictivas y la sabiduría primordial. No pienses en si esto es bueno o es malo cuando surgen las aflicciones. Descansa en el pensamiento, en su esencia. Al principio es difícil y por eso ayuda mucho el meditar en la sílaba Hum, que tiene la naturaleza de la vacuidad. Y los pensamientos hacia la vacuidad. Si acumulamos muchas huellas kármicas, es porque las cosas aparecen a nosotros como reales. Las diferentes apariencias se manifiestan por medio de las 6 emociones aflictivas. Cuando una emoción o pensamiento aflictivo surge, acábalos, destrózalos con el Hum. Los pensamientos surgen y son liberados en cuanto surgen. Si esta conciencia natural los libera, los pensamientos se colapsan en sí mismos. Esto es la liberación de los pensamientos.
So remember the Buddha's kindness again and again. Now, especially now, there is so much suffering in the world, and there is so much suffering in samsara, and we actually witness so much suffering. And the method to free beings from suffering was only really taught by the Buddha. No one else has found it. So and also, if you cultivate devotion to the Buddha, devotion to the noble Sangha will also naturally arise. And when devotion arises, then compassion for sentient beings will naturally arise. So, Dharma friends, especially nowadays, we can see there's a lot of suffering in the world, and many of you worry about this a lot. But also think about it in this way, because now we have we directly see, we are being made aware of a lot of suffering that happens in the world, but actually it happens all the time. Constantly, sentient beings are born and die, and there's always uninterrupted suffering. It is just that now we become aware of it, but it's actually always happening. It's like an ever-turning wheel that turns uninterruptedly. It is just that normally, until now, we haven't really seen it so directly. But regardless of how much suffering there is, ultimately, sentient beings are never separated from their Buddha nature. And it's very important that you are completely certain about that. And then also, Dharma friends, there is an important thing, that is the wristband that we have distributed, with the liberation by seeing and touching mantra. Is extremely important, especially in times like these when we pray for the world. So this wristband benefits those who are alive. It becomes like a protection sphere or a wheel of life, a sphere of life for them. And then for those who have died, there is on the inside their liberation by touching. So it benefits them too. And actually the benefits are really great. For example, even if someone doesn't have any devotion, any faith in the Dharma at all, if they simply are in touch, or if this liberation by touching mantra touches them, for example, if it's an animal, then that animal will be born in the God realm. And the seed of liberation has been planted in their mind, and in the future they will take birth as a human and become liberated. Because otherwise it's not so certain where they will take birth. So it's very important to distribute and where it is liberation by seeing and touching wristbands. Also, the Buddha himself had said that whoever sees it or comes into contact with it will not be born in the 3 lower realms, but will be born in the God realm. So that's the actual word of the Buddha himself. And so, Dharma friends, what's most important is that you have compassion for sentient beings, and that you remember the kindness of the Buddha, the kindness of the 3 jewels again and again. Every time devotion arises in your mind, a layer of your thick obscurations in the mind is removed, or it's like the ice is melting. The obscurations are purified. That is when a feeling arises in your mind. For example, when a feeling of compassion arises for sentient beings, then it is said that the obscurations of many aeons are purified. The obscurations of many aeons are purified if you shed a single tear out of compassion for sentient beings. So that is the benefit of compassion, which is really the greatest. And of course, also devotion is very beneficial. So remember the 3 jewels qualities with devotion, and think of sentient beings with compassion. And I myself am praying and dedicating for the world day and night, and I do whatever I can to benefit others, for example, by sending them the wristbands and various other blessings and so on. and also the refuge vow from afar. And actually the refuge vow is extremely important. And also nowadays it is saved as a recording on the internet, so it's always available. You can always receive the refuge vow by looking at the internet recording. So the refuge vow is extremely important because generally making prayers is very powerful, but it is said that if you make a prayer that is based on the refuge vow, so if you have the refuge vow and then make prayers, then that prayer becomes so much more powerful. It really enhances the power of all your aspiration prayers. And that is because of 3 powers. First, so when you take the refuge vow, then 3 powers come together through the refuge vow. And the first power is the power of your own intention, which is your own love and compassion for sentient beings. The second power is the power of the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, which is the Buddha's great compassion and the Buddha's vast dedication prayers for sentient beings. And then the third power is the power of the Dharma Dhatu, wherein we are one with the mind of all the Buddhas. And so when you take the refuge vow, you bring together these 3 powers. If you do not take the refuge vow, even though you might have compassion for sentient beings, you still cannot merge your mind with the compassionate aspiration, the bodhicitta aspirations of all the Buddhas. So that merging with the Buddha's power comes from having taken the refuge vow. And that is why the benefit of whatever you do increases immensely. That is why it's so important to take the refuge vow. So the mind of bodhicitta actually also arises from the refuge vow, because through the refuge vow you're merging your mind with the bodhicitta of all the Buddha's mind. So therefore it is extremely powerful, and I ask you to keep that in mind. If you simply receive the refuge vow alone, only that in itself is so important, so significant. And if you simply remember the Buddha's kindness, it is so meaningful. And also I encourage you to make prayers to Tara, to recite the Tara supplication prayer. And also please cultivate and sustain love and compassion for one another. Really develop immeasurable love, especially when you see the suffering of a sentient being. Cultivate immeasurable love and compassion, and also reflect, why is it that they suffer? It is because of karmic ripening, and karma ripens because of afflictive emotions. And so it might look that like this world is in a lot of despair at the moment. Also we speak about the degenerate age, the age of 5 degenerations, one of which is the degeneration of afflictive emotions. So we are in a degenerate age where the afflictive emotions of sentient beings are extremely powerful. And an outer sign of that is the imbalance, the disturbance of the 5 elements. So the outer elements in the inner mind are connected. So it seems now that there is a lot of suffering. There is a lot of suffering in this world, on the one hand, but also this suffering purifies a lot of negative karma, which is also necessary. And now I will tell you the ultimate instruction, which comes also from Milarepa. Milarepa also said his final ultimate instruction is when you realize that happiness and suffering, or happiness and sadness are one and the same, then you have found the ultimate, the perfect instruction. So you have to see that it all has the same, is one and the same nature. Happiness and sadness are the same, in that happiness is a thought, and sadness, suffering is also nothing but a thought. Everything is just a thought in the mind. If you really meditate, then nothing is any different at all. Everything is exactly the same. So that's the best, most supreme instruction, actually. And so when it comes to the instruction, the ultimate instruction on Mahamudra, it is just that, to equalize everything, to realize that afflictive emotions are primordial wisdom, and that happiness and sadness are one and the same. So that is what you can, this realization or seeing things this way can become your indication of your realization. So meaning that when you see them as the same, then that's a sign of realization. So Dharma friends, I will stop the teachings here today, and thank you all Dharma friends for joining on the live stream.
We'll do the long life prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 22. For this realm, encircled
Primero
by
haremos las oraciones en la página 22.
happiness, Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the three jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya lion, supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of the Lord Drigumpa, great Lord of the three jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Arya Deva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gompo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. Page 28. May
Página
the teaching
28.
Great Drigumpa Ratna Shri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
Tashi Dele to all the Sangha on the live stream, and thank you so much for joining the 100 million mantra recitation.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche, for your precious teachings. Dharma brothers and sisters,
Bueno, por
we have-
favor no se vayan a ir. Todavía falta que les traduzca el último bloque, el cual tiene la mejor instrucción de todas las enseñanzas.
So there will be this special segment where we'll be playing the recordings on the Refuge Vow, and we disciples can receive the Refuge Vows from him. And the time from this segment is from 1:45 to 3:30 today. So we encourage everyone to join in on this special segment. Next, on behalf of Drigat Dargeling, all the students in Singapore, in Asia, and all others around the world, would like to thank Garchen Rinpoche for your precious teachings. And Ina, we will need your help to translate this to Rinpoche also. Yeah, so a lot of students all over the world, including not only Asia, but US and Europe, has attended the teachings. And we really want to thank Garchen Rinpoche for this. We are extremely honored to have him here to benefit our students. Garchen Rinpoche has also been very concerned about the well-being of the Dharma learnings in Asia, and also ask Dozen Rinpoche often about the practices and progress in Asia. So, and he also puts in a lot of adjustments despite the large time differences across continents. So all of us really wishes Garchen Rinpoche long life and good health. And with this, we would like to invite Garchen Rinpoche to say a few words to us disciples.
Aquí le están dando el agradecimiento a Garchen Rinpoche. Están dando algunos avisos de que a la 1:45 del día, hora de Singapur, habrá un video con la toma de refugio por Garchen Rinpoche, que va de acuerdo a la última instrucción que dio ahorita Rinpoche, que les voy a traducir. Bueno, mientras les está traduciendo Ina a Rinpoche, les doy el último bloque de traducción. Dice Rinpoche que hoy hay mucho sufrimiento en el mundo y en el samsara. El método para liberarnos del sufrimiento, el único método, fue enseñado por el Buda. Cuando surge la devoción, surge la compasión. Muchos de ustedes se preocupan mucho por el sufrimiento que hay hoy en el mundo, pero pueden ver que actualmente pasa todo el tiempo. Constantemente los seres nacen y mueren, pero siempre sucede, es como una rueda eterna que gira y gira. Los seres nunca se separan de su naturaleza búdica. La única diferencia es que ahora todo el mundo se está dando cuenta. Algo importante, muy importante, es este brazalete que yo he diseñado y que les estoy regalando a los que están ahí presentes. Este brazalete tiene mantras por afuera, que es considerado liberación por ver, y por dentro tiene mantras que liberación por contacto. Este brazalete, si lo usan sobre todo en estos tiempos tan difíciles, es como una esfera de protección. Y para los que han muerto, esta liberación por contacto es muy importante. Aunque uno no tenga fe en el Dharma, si el mantra de liberación por contacto está en contacto con uno cuando se muere, aun si se es un animal, este animal renacerá en el reino de los dioses y más tarde tendrá un renacimiento afortunado humano. El que lo vea y esté en contacto con esto de brazalete, evitará los 3 renacimientos inferiores. Esto fue dicho por el Buda. Cada vez que de la devoción surge en la mente, el hielo se derrite y los oscurecimientos se purifican. Entonces es muy importante que seguido tengan devoción y tengan compasión. Cuando surge un sentimiento de compasión, se purifican eones de malos hábitos. Recuerda las cualidades.
Important, and I'm encouraging you to engage in this practice in the future. And whenever you do the practice, I will always be there. My mind will always come and be there. Our minds are always together. So it's very important that in the future you will continue to hold these 100 million mantra recitation retreats, and that all of you continue to join these retreats. The root of virtue that we accumulate are really immense, and it's very important at the end to dedicate these roots of virtue for the benefit of all sentient beings. So I would like to thank everyone for joining the 100 Million Mantra Accumulation Retreat. And in general, it is a great benefit to yourself, specifically it's a great benefit to yourself, but in general, it benefits all sentient beings. And actually through these practices of the Amitabha and the Mani 100 Million Mantra recitation retreats, we are accomplishing the dual purpose of others and oneself simultaneously. So I ask you to please regard this retreat in the future as something very important, as a priority. And Dharma friends, I will always be with you in your mind. Our minds will never separate. The Guru's mind, the disciple's mind, and the Buddha's mind are one. Our minds are one, and the essence of bodhicitta is one. The essence of bodhicitta of all the Buddhas of the 3 times and our slight love and compassion have one and the same nature. So see it that way. See your own love, your own compassion as one with the Buddha's great compassion. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Tachidelek.
Entonces aquí en este último Rinpoche está diciendo lo importante que es el ser partícipe de estos retiros, como este retiro de acumulación de mantras de Amitabha. Dice que en un futuro, aunque él no esté, que él estará a través de este tipo de prácticas. Entonces él nos pide que en un futuro la sigamos haciendo, sigamos uniéndonos a estos retiros de acumulación de mantras, que así no solo conseguimos el beneficio propio, sino estamos consiguiendo el beneficio también de los otros. Dice que la esencia de la bodhicitta de los Budas de los 3 tiempos es una misma con nuestra mínima compasión que tenemos. Entonces hay que estar conscientes de esto.
You're very sad nowadays and you're thinking that so many people are dying. But actually remember that the mind is beyond birth and death. And it is just temporarily for now that being controlled by karma, that we are sick and that we suffer in our minds and that we die. And that is all due to our previously accumulated negative karma and the obscurations. But even if they die, in the future, they will be reborn as a human being. They can be reborn as a human being. And if they're reborn as a human being, then as a human being, again, we can attain enlightenment. We have a chance of attaining enlightenment. So this is the aspiration prayer you should make in these days. And remember that the mind cannot die. The mind is always there. And even if beings die, they need our dedications, the dedication of our roots of virtue. Actually, even it is said the Buddhas need our dedications. So then, of course, if the Buddhas need our dedications, then of course sentient beings in the 6 realms need our dedications. For example, it is said that the lamas, the gurus, need our dedication because they need a lot of merit in order to be able to benefit sentient beings vastly. Actually, we can also think that we are very fortunate too in this world because we have met the Dharma. We are able to hear the name of the Buddha. So we are extremely fortunate actually. And on the ultimate level, our Buddha nature will never abandon us. The Buddha nature will never abandon sentient beings. So therefore, don't be sad and be happy.
Entonces dice Rinpoche que recuerden que en este tiempo de sufrimiento que está habiendo muchos muertos, que la mente no tiene muerte realmente, que va más allá de la muerte y el nacimiento.
Led by Dorjen Rinpoche and then all the other disciples who have joined the 100 Million Mantra Recitation Retreat. So thank you, everyone.
Muchas gracias a todos por haber por haber participado en este retiro, es lo último que dijo Rinpoche. Entonces recuerden que la mente es más allá, está más allá de la muerte y el nacimiento. Es por nuestro karma acumulado y oscurecimientos que nosotros nacemos y morimos. Aunque uno muera, si uno renace como ser humano, puede obtener la iluminación. Entonces, esta es la plegaria de aspiración que debemos hacer en estos tiempos. Si los seres mueren, necesitan la dedicación de nuestros méritos. Pero se dice también que inclusive los budas, los lamas y los gurús necesitan de nuestros méritos para beneficiar y difundir el Dharma a todos los demás. Entonces somos muy afortunados por haber oído siquiera el nombre del Buda. Y recuerden que la naturaleza búdica jamás nos abandona. Entonces, déjenme regresar a lo último de la enseñanza. Estaba hablando de los brazaletes. Entonces, que es muy importante si pueden obtener los brazaletes que diseñó Garchen Rinpoche. Entonces, dice que cuando surge un sentimiento de compasión, se purifican eones de malos hábitos. Recuerda constantemente las cualidades de las tres joyas y piensa en los seres sintientes con compasión. Dice que él hace lo que puede por medio de los brazaletes y también por el voto de refugio, que es muy importante. Dice Garchen Rinpoche que por esto él ya ofrece la posibilidad de tomar refugio budista desde la distancia. Ya hay videos de él ofreciendo el refugio y entonces es de vital importancia el tomar el refugio budista. Dice que normalmente si haces una plegaria, una aspiración, teniendo el voto de refugio, esta plegaria se vuelve mucho más poderosa. Cuando tienes el voto de refugio, por el poder de tu intención, tu amor y compasión, se funde con el poder de los tathagatas y el poder del Dharmadato, en donde todos somos uno con los Budas. Si no tomas el voto de refugio, aunque tengas compasión por los seres, no puedes fundir tu compasión con la bodichita de todos los Budas. Por eso es muy importante tomar el voto de refugio. Con esto, acabas uniendo tu bodichita con la de todos los seres y de todos los Budas. Si solo recibes el voto de refugio, esto es muy importante. Entonces, también nos recomienda Rinpoche que hagamos constantemente la suplicación natal y que por favor mantengamos el amor inconmensurable y la compasión por todos. Debemos de reflexionar por qué sufrimos, que esto es porque el karma está floreciendo. Entonces, hablamos de la era de las 5 degeneraciones y la que está muy presente es la degeneración de las emociones aflictivas. Y por esto se degeneran los 5 elementos. Pero también hay que pensar que este sufrimiento purifica el karma.
All the disciples who have joined the 100 million Amitabha mantra recitation retreat this year. I would like to thank Rinpoche, and also I supplicate Rinpoche to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us with great love for us continuously. And so also I would like to thank Rinpoche for having done that, having turned the wheel of Dharma continuously for us, and also now, especially during the Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreat, with so much compassion and love for us. Rinpoche has not only joined the retreat, but also gave us so many teachings. So I would like to thank Rinpoche from the bottom of my heart, and I supplicate Rinpoche to be healthy and to live long life, and in the future to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us disciples continuously, and also to bestow his blessings and compassionate prayers and also presiding over the future Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreats. So now it is due to Rinpoche's compassionate blessings and aspiration and prayers that we were able to successfully complete another Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreat. So I would like to thank Rinpoche from the bottom of my heart for his kindness.
Entonces aquí están dando su agradecimiento. Dorsin Rinpoche, que fue el organizador, es el líder de la Sangha de Singapur, y le está dando su agradecimiento a Rinpoche por girar la rueda del Dharma y por ayudarnos en este retiro de acumulación de mantras. Entonces voy a acabar de traducirles porque falta lo más importante. Bueno, cerró con lo más importante, dice una cita de Milarepa que dice: la última y máxima instrucción es: cuando te das cuenta que la felicidad y la tristeza son lo mismo, entonces has encontrado la máxima instrucción. La felicidad y la tristeza son nada más que un pensamiento en la mente. Medita y todo es exactamente lo mismo. Esta es la más suprema instrucción. El Mahamudra ecualiza todo, equilibra todo. Las emociones aflictivas son la sabiduría primordial. Cuando lo ves todo como iguales, esto es la máxima realización.
To Garchen Buddhist Institute to thank you very much for your support and your assistance. All right, and now we would like to invite the president of the organizing committee, Drigatutan Dageling, to present flowers as a token of appreciation to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche.
Ahora están invitando al presidente de la comunidad allá en Singapur para que haga una ofrenda de flores en agradecimiento a Garchen Rinpoche.
So indeed, this retreat has been a great success once again, and we truly rejoice everyone for the immeasurable merits accumulated. We are immensely grateful for everyone who has supported and participated in the Amidewa Recitation Retreat. And we'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Dharma centers and their staff who have supported, especially to the staff and Sanghas members of Garchen Buddhist Institute for their great help and wonderful arrangements. Thank you so much. And our thanks also goes to Vietnam, Drikong Garchen Punsuk Choling Hanoi, and Driga Amitabha Center Ho Chi Minh, the Garchen Institute Japan, the Taiwan Garchen Dharma Institute, and all the Drukong Dharma centers that have rendered support to us in this Amidewa Recitation Retreat. We also like to thank Campo and Lamas and Anis for their support towards the retreat and attending the retreats together with us and supporting this. Thank you so
Aquí
much.
están dando las gracias a el Garchen Institute y a todos los que estuvieron involucrados en este retiro y que lo hicieron posible y que organizaron todo.
Our heartfelt gratitude to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche. Can I invite our AV team to please play the video? Thank you so much.
Ahora van a pasar un video de agradecimiento a Garchen Rinpoche, grabado por los diferentes discípulos y estudiantes.
Please give us a few moments. We are playing the video soon. Right now, in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a big TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of GBI for controlling the Zoom, so that Garchen Rinpoche can actually see all of us here. And at this current moment, we have more than 1,000 participants in this room itself. And the staff of Garchen Institute is actually showing us to them. And now please do enjoy the videos. Right now, in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a big TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of the GBI for controlling the Zoom, so that Garchen Rinpoche can actually see all of us here. And at this current moment, we have more than 1,000 participants in this room itself. And the staff of Garchen Institute is actually showing us to them. And now please do enjoy the videos. Now in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a big TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of the GBI for controlling
Rinpoche la long lai Rinpoche da sitele om a hum.
Come on, man.
Thank you, Gache Rinpoche, for your life teaching. May you stay healthy and long live. We love you. Bye.
Health, longevity in life.
Rinpoche la
I would love to
long
see
lai
you too
Rinpoche
next time.
da sitele
Garchen Rinpoche,
a
may you
hum.
live long and healthy and continue to teach us Dharma.
Thank you,
And
Gache
may your
Rinpoche,
teaching spread far and
for
wide.
your life
Rinpoche,
teaching. May you
Rinpoche,
stay healthy and long
Rinpoche,
live. We love
Kudzeri.
you. Bye.
ガルチェリポチェ、私たちに交流を提示くださりありがとうございます。Thank you so so much.
Longevity in life. I would love to see you too next time.
Garchen Rinpoche, may you live long and continue to teach us Dharma.
ありがとうございます。
May your teaching spread far and wide.
谢谢你们，谢谢。
Thank you very much for loving us. Please live long for the benefit of all students. Thank you so much for the
Come on,
opportunity
God.
for attending 100 minutes meditation retreat, and wish you all the best wishes and long life.
Muchas gracias a todos por haber asistido. Les recordamos, la traducción fue a cargo de Grupos Amigos Driku y Leonardo Álvarez. Esperemos verlos pronto. Gracias.
Thank you, thank you. And everyone, please prepare your kata. Let us offer our katas to show, our immense gratitude to Rinpoche, so that he can see us. Please put on your best smiles. We'll be taking group photo with Rinpoche. And right now, we will unmute the microphones for everyone. So please put on your best smiles and hold your kata high for Rinpoche.
人不是啦，
长寿，人不切长寿，人不切长寿，
人不切，no no 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 嘞，
长寿，长寿，
长寿，祝人不切健康长寿，人不切，人不切，人不切健康长寿。
Thank you for your blessing.
Life, obrigada. long life Rinpoche, long life
Life Rinpoche.
Oh, Mami Dewahi, Ram Dewahi, Oh, Mami Dewahi, Oh, Mami Dewahi, Oh, Mami Dewahi, Oh, Mami Oh, Mami Dewahi, Oh, Mami Dewahi,
Lion.
Oh, Mami Dewahi, Oh, Mami Dewahi, Mami Dewahi, Hi, Rinpoche, take care. Take us around. Take us around. Rinpoche,
Life Rinpoche Lion.
So,
Mami Dewahi, Dewahi,
hey,
Oh, Mami
long life.
Dewahi, Dewahi, Life Rinpoche, Oh, Mami Dewahi, Dewahi, Rinpoche,
Everybody song, thank you. Hey, take care. 谢谢你们哦哟。